Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello students, welcome to Swayam Prabha. The course title is Principles of Marketing and the lecture title is Consumer Behavior. This is Module 4, Lecture 1. I am Dr. Shoma Singupta, Associate Professor Commerce, Kamla Nehru College, University of Delhi. In this module, we will cover the following topics. Meaning and nature of consumer behavior, need or importance of studying consumer behavior, stages in consumer behavior decision process, a model of consumer behavior, factors influencing consumer buying decision, buying roles and buying behavior. In this lecture, we will cover the first four topics, that is meaning and nature, need, importance of studying consumer behavior, stages, and a model of consumer behavior. Meaning of consumer behavior. Consumer behavior is the behavior displayed by the consumer during different stages of the buying process. Right from the initiation of the idea of buying a particular product, searching for the product, taking initiative to buy the product, taking different steps, then arriving at the decision, paying the money, finally using the product and disposing of the product. So whatever behavior he displays during the whole of the stages, that can be considered as buying behavior. In the words of Schiffman and Kanuk, the term consumer behavior refers to the behavior that consumer display in searching for, purchasing, using, evaluating and disposing of the products and services that they expect will satisfy their needs. So this is the whole process, and you can see that during the whole of the buying process at different stages, different other people also take decisions on behalf of the actual buyer. Now it is very confusing thing, who is the buyer? Is it the person, is he the person who has initiated the idea, or who has selected the product, or who has made the final payment, or the one who is using it, or finally who is disposing it? So all of them can be considered as buyer, as per different writers, whether it is Schiffman and Kanuk or Kotler. So they have defined buyer, each one of them as buyer. Each one of them can be buyer. The field of consumer behavior studies how individuals, groups, and organizations select, buy, use, and dispose of goods, services, ideas, or experiences to satisfy their needs and desires. So, the buyer can be an individual, it can be a group of people, or it can be an organization who is selecting, buying, using, and disposing of a particular kind of product. Now, why we should study consumer behavior? Because it will give you the cues or information, and on the basis of that you can provide the services to the consumer, or you can create the advertisement for the consumer. You can understand how the psyche of the consumer is working, and accordingly you can provide certain cues so that it will positively it will have a positive impact on the consumer, and they will buy your product. So this studying of consumer behavior is very important for the marketer to design all the other policies or programs or practices for wooing the customers, for gaining the customer loyalty, or for any other purposes. So because of that, marketers are spending a lot of money to understand the consumer behavior. Nature of consumer behavior. The first point is motivated behavior. It means that consumer behavior is a motivated behavior, and it is a means to an end and not an end in itself. The end is to satisfy the needs and the wants of the consumer. The consumer himself, whatever he is displaying, whatever behavior he is displaying, the ultimate aim of the consumer is to satisfy his own needs and wants. Sometimes these needs and the wants or the reasons to buy, they are revealed clearly, and sometimes they are his hidden desires. So the marketer has to identify these motives so as to provide an adequate solution to that, or create a marketing mix suitable to for this type of consumer. Then the second thing is, it is a process. Now, there are several phases involved in the consumer behavior or consumer decision process. So, there may be pre-purchase phase, there may be purchase phase, and then there is post-purchase phase. The consumer may be there in any of these phases, and the behavior he will display during these three phases will be different. So marketer tries to understand the requirement and behavior of the consumer during these phases and accordingly design a strategy to satisfy them. Now, the next characteristic is that consumer behavior is multidimensional. Since the consumer displays multidimensional behavior during different activities related to purchase of the product, so we can say that consumer behavior is multidimensional. The marketer tries to understand the consumer behavior while they are involved in different activities related to buying a product, and accordingly he provides the necessary stimuli or necessary cues. So the activities in which the consumer is involved are, first of all, he is exposed to a stimuli. So exposure to a stimuli, how it has an impact on the behavior of the consumer, how he starts thinking about the product. And now this stimuli is generally there in his environment or is provided by the marketer. Either he has seen, suppose he has seen a product at his friend's residence, and that is the stimuli, and that gives him a cue that I must also buy this product. Say for example, an air fryer he has seen in one of the parties held at a friend's place, and he is quite motivated that air fryer will provide him the snacks in an oil free manner. So that is the stimuli which has or he has seen some advertisement of air fryer, so it can be anything. So that will he will display some behavior during that phase. Then searching for the product, so he will search for the brands, first of all whether the product is available in the market or not, what brands are there, what are the prices. So he will do evaluation also. So next is evaluating alternatives, then taking the decision to buy the product. Now he has to see his financial condition. Suppose an air fryer costs him some 10,000 to 15,000 rupees, so he has to decide which brand to go for, and he will take decision to buy. He will make the payment by different it may be any mode, so he has to decide what mode he will go for. Sometimes credit facility or EMI facility is provided by the seller, so he may go for that also. So he has to decide about the payment modalities. Then storing and using the product, where to place, if we are talking about this air fryer only, or if there are other products which are consumables and they are perishable also, so where to keep that, so that they have to decide. Then disposing the product, package and the leftover. So whatever packages are there of the product, the immediate package or the secondary one or the shipping package, so how to dispose it off, and then whatever leftover of the, if any of the product is there, to whom to give or how to dispose it off, that is again a decision phase. So marketer tries to understand how the consumer is arriving at different decisions in all these while doing any of these activities, and accordingly strategies will be created by the marketer. Now the next characteristic is internal and external environment. So you know that when we try to study the consumer behavior, we are well aware that there are certain internal factors which are affecting consumer behavior, and the external factors also which are affecting consumer behavior. Internal factors are his own whole makeup. how he thinks, what a value system he has, how his brain works, what is his nature, whether he is an extrovert, introvert, what type of games he like or outing activities he like. So that is his internal makeup, and that you have to study in a particular type of environment, how he behaves. And then external factors like what is his exposure to different kind of stimuli, different whether he is seeing things around or he is confined to his home, is he traveling to foreign destinations and seeing different types of product or not. So that will have an impact on his behavior. So that also is studied by the marketer. The next important characteristic is timing and complexity. That has an impact on his behavior, on the behavior of the consumer. Now, there are certain decisions which are simple, easy decisions. Suppose we want to buy a pack of salt or say toothpaste. So this is, you are habituated to buy it, and you go to the market and automatically, habitually, you pick up a particular brand of your choice and you make the payment and then start using that, bring it home and start using that product. So this is a very simple tapper, and you haven't even spent 1 minute in deciding what product you are buying. Okay, so if the complexity is less, then less time is required to make a decision. If it is a complex decision, then more time will be spent on taking the decision. High involvement products, like if you are trying to buy a luxury product or a luxury car, then more time will be involved during the pre-purchase activities. So mode of information collection, evaluation will be done, because the repercussion of a wrong decision is high. The stakes are higher, and that's why they take more time to come to a decision. Now, the next characteristic is that when you are studying consumer behavior, you should be well aware that multiple roles are played by consumers. So, what are these roles? A consumer may be playing all the roles, or consumer may be playing only a few roles. So you have to find out, the marketer has to find out who are the major decision maker, so that he can reach and target those decision makers. Okay, so first of all, the first role is initiator. So the person who first of all initiates the decision to buy, or who gives information that such a product is available. Now, it's not necessary that only the lady of the house or the male member of the house is giving taking the initiative. Sometimes the children also take the initiative. They have seen the product somewhere and they come to the come home and they initiate that we must also buy this kind of product, or such a product is available in the market. Then second is influencer. So that is the person who influences the decision to buy the product. So it may be if you are not actually the buyer, so the other person, maybe your spouse is the influencer, or the children may be the influencer, or your parents may be the influencer, who is influencing your decision. Even your friends or the relatives may influence you to buy a particular brand or particular color. So that is influencer. Then decider, the person who is deciding that yes, we will buy this product. Okay, so generally the person who has the decision making authority regarding the financial aspect, that is making the payment, he is the decider, he or she is the decider. So but in many cases, when it's a low involvement product, even the children can be decider. So one must, as I'm again repeating, that one person may be taking all these decisions, or playing all these roles, or there may be different people who are taking these different, or playing these different roles. Then purchaser is the person who actually goes to the market and buy the product. Then user is the person who is using the product. So suppose it is a kitchen product, generally, although it is a stereotypical thing, but kitchen products are generally used by the lady of the house. Okay. Then last of all is disposer. So whatever is the say leftover, or the package, or the product has been consumed, the container, so that is whoever is disposing it of is the disposer. So marketer has to understand for his product in a household, who plays which role, and which role, which person to reach, so that they can make a decision to buy the product. Then last characteristic is that it is consumer behavior is varying nature. It is not a one time phenomena. It differs from person to person. Same person may be behave differently at different times. Okay, so suppose if we take the today's condition, now you are curtailing your needs and wants because of the COVID situation. In many household, people have lost their jobs, or they are getting a lesser salary, and there is a fear also, if we go to the market, then we may get infected. And because of all these reasons, you are making less amount of purchases, and that's why you see that in malls and in markets, the business is not taking, even during these festival seasons, and during different phases, you are finding that that business is not picking up all over the world. So that is about time to time the decisions may differ. So these are the characteristics or nature of consumer behavior. Importance of studying consumer behavior. Now, as we have time and again said, that marketer need to study consumer behavior so as to derive his own strategies, or design a marketing mix so as to better serve the customer. Now, first of all, the reason behind it is satisfy target customers' needs and wants. So that is the main objective of marketer, to satisfy the customer's needs and want, and that they can do only if they know what the customer wants or how they want them to be served. So accordingly, you can design your strategies. So that is one important thing, and because of which we study consumer behavior. Next is changes in environment. You know that the environment is changing very fast, and it has an impact on the consumer also, or how he decides or arrives at different decisions. And that's why again, the impact of changing environment on the consumer needs to be studied so as to design an appropriate marketing strategy. Tastes and preferences are changing. Taste and preferences of consumer, according to the taste and preferences, you have to provide the product. Now, different customers have different preferences. As we have in case of coffee, we know that in northern India, people prefer instant coffee. But when we talk about the southern India, then we they like to have filter coffee. And actually, they like that traditional way of making filter coffee with a filter. Okay, for with a device. Now, if a company is planning to sell coffee, say Nescafe or any of the brand, then what will happen? If they are coming out with instant coffee, then in one part of India that will be a hit, but in southern part it might not be as popular. But now, since the in southern India also, people are becoming cosmopolitan and they have less time to make those filter coffee, so they are going for these instant coffee. But Brew came out with a very unique solution, that what they made a coffee which has a flavor like filter coffee. So that was a hit in southern area India. Likewise, we can give an example that in case of instant cake maker, an American company, they introduced instant cake maker. Okay, cake mix, actually instant cake mix. So it was a hit in American market. So they decided that they should introduce that in Britain also, United Kingdom. So he introduced that product in United Kingdom, but it was a big failure over there, because there they prefer homemade way of making the cake, the traditional way of making the cake, because they think that the love and warmth is involved in making a cake in that process, which is missing if we use this pre-mix of cake making powder. Okay, so because of that, that product failed in British market. So people have different tastes and preferences, and that the marketer need to study. Then product differentiation is another aspect. because of that, now in the market you find that there are so many brands available, and the products offered by them are more or less similar. So how will you add distinction to your product so that the consumer pick up your product only? So that their product differentiation comes into picture to offer to the market your product with some unique features, and that's why unique selling proposition they have started working on. Then next is innovation and technology. So consumer behavior, this is technology is changing behavior, as well as the behavior is influencing the technology or innovations. Okay, so what the customer wants, accordingly you are making the product, and because there is an improvement in technology, then it has its impact on consumer. Both the things are happening. Then changes in marketing concepts is also important. We have discussed the different concepts, and now we find that people are thinking of, suppose one example is societal marketing, or people, we understand that people are concerned about the environment, and so we must offer environment friendly products to the customer. Then last of all, planning of marketing strategies, that is possible only if you are studying the consumer behavior well, and studying consumer behavior provides cues for developing the new products, product features, prices, channels, messages, and other marketing mix elements. Stages of the consumer buying decision process. While deciding to buy the product, and finally buying the product, and after buying the product, a consumer passes through different stages. The stages are problem recognition, information search, evaluation of alternatives, purchase decision, and post purchase behavior. We will discuss each of these stages in detail in the forthcoming slides. The first stage is problem recognition. How the consumer recognizes the problem or the need or the want, for which then he will make an effort to buy the product. Now, the buying process starts when the buyer recognizes a problem or need. The need can be triggered by internal or external stimuli. Internal stimulus can be, which is there in your body. Suppose you feel hungry. So hunger is triggered by your internal stimulus. It is an internal stimuli. External stimulus is when a person passes through or passes nearby a bakery and sees pastry, which stimulates his hunger. So that is an external stimuli. So when we go for window shopping, say in a mall, so we see different types of products, and it is not necessary that you wanted that product, but seeing that product, it has triggered that need to buy the product. So that is an external stimuli. But if you willfully go there because your clothes are now torn, or they are old and they are faded, and you need a new, say you need a new t-shirt, and you go there because you need cloth, then it is an internal stimuli. Likewise, it is for any type of food item or anything. So most of the time, external stimulus works more than the internal stimulus, and for marketer, this external stimulus, working on these external stimulus is very important. Marketers need to identify the circumstances that trigger a particular need. They can then develop marketing strategies that trigger consumer interest. So to trigger consumer interest, you have to understand this whole internal and external stimuli. The next stage is information search. Now we know that the person is hungry. Now he will search for the different alternatives. So this here comes this stage. So information sources, let's forget about the hunger thing, but for other products also there are certain information sources from which you can get information about that product. Okay, so from personal sources like family, friends, neighbors, colleagues, and acquaintances, or commercial sources like advertising, salesperson, dealers, packaging, displays, public sources like mass media. Here again, advertising comes, consumer rating organizations, experiential sources like handling, examining, using the product. Now, relative amount and influence of source, this varies from with the product category and buyer's characteristic. So, what will influence, that depends upon the characteristic of the buyer as well as the the product category. Suppose again we come back to our example on of hunger now, or a burger. Now here the most of the time it will happen that the buyer characteristic has an importance in deciding about or searching for the product. Suppose a person wants pizza only, so that is because of his characteristic, or he is seeing some advertisement of pizza. Okay. Likewise, use of information, the consumer learns about competing brands and their features. So for that they search for different type of information from different sources or advertisements. Company must strategize to get its brand into the prospects awareness set. So constantly if you are seeing all those advertisements of different pizza, so it will have an impact on the buyer's decision making process. Consideration set, choice set involved in the consumer decision making process. Next stage is evaluation of alternatives. How does the consumer process competitive brand information and make a final value judgment? This comes in this stage. The cognitively oriented decision evaluation process is there to see that the consumer as forming judgments largely on the conscious and rational basis. So they decide, and again I will tell you that it depends upon the type of product, whether it is a high involvement product or a low involvement product. So if it is a low involvement product, lesser amount of time will be spent on taking decisions, and alternatives they are well aware of, and they are habituated to buy the product also. So in certain cases, if it is a high involvement product, then naturally they will think about it. Sometimes the rational judgment is there, that sometimes emotional judgment is made, and they consciously make a decision to buy the or go for a particular brand. The marketer should understand that the consumer is trying to satisfy their need. He is looking for certain benefits from the product's solution, and he sees each product as a bundle of attributes with varying abilities for delivering the benefits out. So here they will do a kind of a cost benefit analysis also, especially the products which are high involvement product. So what I will gain or what value I will derive by paying that much amount of money. So that is also there, and for that again they will think about different brands and alternatives and arrive at a decision. The fourth stage of consumer decision making process is purchase decision. The consumer forms preferences among the brands in the choice set, so that after evaluation of alternatives, they have made a preference. The consumer may also form an intention to buy the most preferred brand. Now, the factors that intervene between the purchase intention and the purchase decision are attitudes of others. A buyer's preference for a brand will increase if someone he or she respects, favors the same brand strongly. So suppose you have made up a brand, made up that I will buy this brand. Now you are seeking some information, further information, and if you find that your the person whom you respect also have this particular brand or this particular model, then naturally it will have a positive influence on your purchase decision, and you would like to buy that product. Unanticipated situational factors also trigger this decision. If a person loses his job, some other purchase might become urgent than buying a car. So then naturally you have to look for, suppose you have to buy a house because you are thrown out of the house, then naturally you are not thinking of car, but you are thinking of the house. So in between these two stages, as we say, there are many slips between the cup and the lip. Here also, although the buyer has made his purchase intention, but he might not actually buy the product because of certain other things which may creep in between these two decisions or these two stages. That's why we say that finally selling the product is very difficult process. In fact, in when we talk about the selling process also, when a salesman does all the step like prospecting and demonstration and everything, but finally coming to or closing the sale is very difficult, because their money is involved and the customer might be thinking differently. Many other decisions maybe, or many other factors may be coming in between purchase intention and finally purchase decision. So we will continue with this decision only, purchase decision only, in the next slide. A consumer's decision to modify, postpone, or avoid a purchase decision is heavily influenced by perceived risk. He may think that should I make this decision now or should I postpone it? So, and what will be the pros and cons of this decision? So, if I postpone it, whether the prices will become higher, or it will become lower, or it will not be available in the market, or new brand may arrive, or new features may come out. So that's why a decision, the gap will have this impact also. In executing a purchase intention, the consumer may make up to 5 purchase sub decisions. So the sub decisions are which brand to buy, so brand decision, from which vendor, so vendor decision, what quantity, so quantity decision, because in certain cases if you buy in large quantity or large pack, the prices are lower. Timing decision, when to buy. Then suppose you want that I should buy during the, in India we celebrate Navratris, so during Navratris, which is considered as auspicious occasion, you want to buy in during that auspicious occasion or not. Suppose you want to buy gold items, then Akshay Tritiya is considered as a an auspicious occasion to buy gold. So sometimes people prepone or postpone their purchase decision on the basis of these other considerations also, that is regarding timing. Payment method decision, whether you will buy cash down, or you want some kind of an EMI scheme. So it depends upon the type of the product also. So these are purchase decisions, subdivisions, decisions. And the last stage is post-purchase behavior. The marketer's job does not end when the product is bought. He must monitor the post-purchase buyer behavior, which may be anything, any of this. Post-purchase satisfaction may happen, dissatisfaction may happen. So if satisfaction is there, they will come back, they will satisfy, they will good mouth about the product to other customers or other prospective customers. If they are not satisfied, then naturally there is a problem that they may bad mouth about the product. So to look into that, the marketer has to monitor the post-purchase behavior also. Post-purchase satisfaction is one condition where the buyer's satisfaction is a function of the closeness between the buyer's expectation and the product's perceived performance. So it's an outcome of these two things, that is buyer's expectation and product's perceived performance. So if performance is lower than expectation, then there will be disappointed customers. If performance is equal to the experience, then there will be satisfied customer. And if performance is greater than expectation, then we will have delighted customers. Now this happens in many cases. Sometimes the product actually is not bad, but their expectations are too high and the performance is as usual, and because of that also, because of high expectation, the product fails in the market. This happens with movies, this happens with many other kind of products for which you have generated expectation, a greater expectation through, say, advertisement. So many advertisements, they have influenced the customer to buy the product and their expectation is high, but the product is not matching with that expectation, then again there is a problem. If you under advertise the product, then naturally expectation will be low. Those who will be buying the product, they will find the performance better, and of course they will be delighted, but lesser number of people will get to know about the product. So there is a hitch in that also. So you have to decide what kind of marketing strategy or advertising strategy or promotion strategy you must go for, so that this type of situation like performance less than expectation could be avoided. The post-purchase behavior also includes post-purchase actions taken by the consumer. If the consumer is satisfied, he or she will exhibit a higher probability of purchasing the product again. So the consumer may turn as a brand loyal customer. So the customer loyalty will also increase. Dissatisfied consumer may abandon or return the product, seek information that confirm its high value, or take public action, file a case, bad mouth. So dissatisfied customer can be very problematic for the organization also, because they say that one dissatisfied customer may badmouth it to 10 more person. So that is a huge thing. So because of that, you have to control that. You have to provide them the necessary information and services so that they can turn into a satisfied customer. Moreover, there is a kind of a dissonance reducing behavior, in the sense that every customer, after even buying the product, he wants positive information about the product so that he can justify his purchase, and he looks for all these positive information, and he wants to avoid those negative information which will suggest that he has made a blunder or he has made a wrong choice. So that this is again a responsibility of the marketer to provide him with all the positive information, congratulating the customer for making the right choice, so that the dissonance can reduce, and the customer will feel great about buying the product. That's why post-purchase communication is also very important, like sending letter to new owners, congratulating them on selecting the product, solicit customer suggestion have shown to result in fewer product returns. So these things are important to manage the post-purchase behavior of the customers favorably. Now we will discuss a consumer behavior model to understand consumer behavior in a better manner, and this model is known as the stimulus response model. So if we go through this model, if we see this model, what it is shown, it is showing that there are certain stimuli which enters the buyer's black box, the middle area, and there is behavior, that is buyer's decision. So the stimuli are marketing stimuli or other stimuli. So marketing stimuli can be the marketing mix, that is product, price, place, promotion. All these are provided by the marketer to the consumer. Then there are other stimuli like the economic environment, the technological environment, the political environment, and the cultural environment. This we have studied in our chapter on marketing environment. So these factors also have an impact on buyer's decision process. So these are the two sets of stimuli which enter the buyer's mind or hits the buyer. Now this middle portion is the buyer's characteristic, consists of buyer's characteristic and buyer's decision process, and this is the buyer's black box. We can call it buyer's black box. Here decisions are formulated. So first of all, the buyer's characteristic may be cultural characteristics, social characteristic, personal and psychological characteristics. We will discuss this characteristic in detail later on. Then these characteristics make up a buyer, and that has an impact on his decision making process. The buyer's decision process, we have discussed it just now. That is the problem recognition, information search, evaluation of alternatives, purchase decision, and finally he arrives at post-purchase behavior also. Now, what kind of decision he will take, that is the outcome of this whole process. So buyer decisions are like product choice, brand choice, dealer choice, purchase timing, and purchase amount. To understand this stimulus response model, so we can come to a conclusion that marketing and environmental stimuli enter the buyer's consciousness. The buyer's characteristic and decision process lead to certain purchase decisions. The marketer's task is to understand what happens in the buyer's consciousness between the arrival of outside stimuli and the buyer's purchase decision. That is how the buyer's characteristics influence buying behavior. How does the buyer make purchase decisions? So all these things are found out while we understand this stimulus response model. So this gives you an idea about how the buyer arrives at certain decisions. To summarize this lecture, we can say that consumer behavior studies how individuals, groups, and organizations select, buy, use, and dispose of goods, services, ideas, or experiences to satisfy their needs and desires. The nature of consumer behavior suggests motivated behavior, process, multidimensional internal and external environment, timing and complexity, multiple roles played by consumers, and varying. So these are the characteristics of consumer behavior. Studying consumers provides clues for developing new products, product features, prices, channels, messages, and other marketing mix elements to satisfy target customers. The stages of the consumer buying behavior process or decision process are problem recognition, information search, evaluation of alternatives, purchase decision, and post-purchase evaluation. The stimulus response model indicates that marketing or environmental stimuli and buyer's characteristics lead to purchase decision. Beside the other books I have suggested, for this portion you can go for Schiffman and Kanuk, Consumer Behavior, and now another author has been added to this, that is S. Ramesh Kumar. Philip Kotler and as well as even C.B. Gupta, they are also good book to go through for this section of the syllabus. Thank you, students. So this was Consumer Behavior, Module 4, Lecture 1.